Would Andrew Tate survive the zombie apocalypse? I came up with this idea after I was scrolling through my YouTube feed, and I saw a video about ranking the deaths in the Walking Dead TV show. Recently, I was watching Ludwig's stream, and he watched the documentary about Andrew Tate.
Have you ever seen the clown that hides from gay people?
So I put the two ideas together and I came up with, would Andrew Tate survive The Walking Dead? The answer is actually very interesting. So without further ado, would Andrew Tate survive the zombie apocalypse?
Bang out the machete, boom in her face. Like, shut up, bitch! How's it gonna fucking work?
Some child is outside enjoying their life. I hate happy children. Anyway.
I'm going to describe a certain person, and I want you to tell me who I'm describing. This person forces women to do things they don't want to do.
What woman is going to give you $8,000?
You're my woman, you're doing OnlyFans, you're selling my product.
This person has an army of subservient men.
I run Hustlers University, which is now currently the biggest online educational platform in the world.
And this person has a weapon that makes him feel powerful and scary.
I challenge men to duels. And they're like, oh, we can't duel, I don't have a sword.
Bitch!
If you thought of Andrew Tate, I wouldn't blame you. But the thing is, I wasn't describing Andrew Tate. I was describing Negan from The Walking Dead. And before you click off, just give me a moment, please. I know some people don't care for the show. Some people don't like the show. Some people stopped watching after with the first season. That's okay. I'm not going to tell you to watch it. The thing is, it's important to the video. So let me catch you up to speed at least on who Negan is. Negan from the Walking Dead TV show is one of the biggest, baddest villains of the series. Back when he first appeared on screen, the first thing he did was murder two beloved characters. Every scene he was in was tense and nobody knew what he was going to do next. That's what made him scary. So, how does this relate to Andrew Tate? In the show and comic series, Negan has a group of women that he calls his wives. He basically gives them an easy life if they are only loyal to him. Sound familiar? He has an army of men that he basically brainwashes to fight for his side and to become part of the conglomerate. And the weapon that makes him powerful and scary is a baseball bat wrapped with barbed wire that he calls Lucille. Now keep that information in the back of your head. We're gonna need it for later. Now, would Andrew Tate survive the zombie apocalypse? Now to answer this, we need to establish a set of rules. Now we need to establish what a zombie is for this apocalypse that we are creating for Andrew Tate. Rule number 1, zombies are slow. Rule number 2, zombies are dumb. Rule number 3, zombies are attracted to sound.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Mumbo number 5.
Rule number 4, zombies roam in groups. Rule number 5, zombies are hard to kill, but headshots always work. Rule number 6, zombies are always hungry. Rule number 7, if you get bit, you turn. Okay, now that we've set our rules for what a zombie is, we need to figure out what our location is. If my knowledge is correct, then he's currently in Romania, a lot of which is forests, mountains, 2 or 3 cities. The city he lives in is Bucharest, or more specifically,
București.
now,
București.
is the capital city of Romania. I don't really know how to describe this, but the city is not like Los Angeles or New York. I've never been to
București.
so I'll have to go off of Google Maps. And lastly, we'll have to consider the possibilities. I narrowed it down to 2 timelines that we could follow. Both timelines have multiple endings that we'll go over separately, and both timelines serve individual purposes that we'll get to in a second. So without further ado, what would realistically happen to Andrew Tate in the zombie apocalypse? The zombie apocalypse breaks out. Roughly 95% of
București.
is either dead or a zombie. Andrew Tate is in his mansion with his brother Tristan, and possibly 2 or more women. In secret, the brothers are terrified, on the verge of tears whenever they are alone. They weren't cut out for this. Everything they've said, stood for, believed in, was a lie. They said it to get views, but in reality, they were ashamed. Insecure even. Their women notice this. One, strangely, out of Stockholm Syndrome, starts to comfort them. The rest of them shame them. They make fun of them for being weak. Andrew and Tristan lash out even more. Even the mention of weakness or insecurity would trigger them, and the women are in more danger than before. The brothers become so insecure that any survivors that came to their doorstep would be shot on sight. Sometimes if it was a woman, and if she was hot enough, she would be kept in their home as their wife. As a result of their insecurity, Andrew and Tristan start using guns against the zombies. When confronted about the noise of their guns, Andrew would say, "Let the zombies come, I'm not afraid." He acted tough, but the amount of people he's killed at this point has taken a toll on him. He becomes even more unstable. Eventually, the zombies come and the mansion is overrun. This is the first ending. Andrew, Tristan, and their wives are eaten alive by zombies. The second ending to the first scenario is that Andrew somehow escapes. He abandons his brother and his wives and wanders the wasteland looking for something more. He eventually dies one way or another, from another human, a zombie, an animal, starvation, but he cannot escape from the horror of being Andrew Tate. I find this first scenario really interesting. There were several different ways things could go. I would even went so far as to imagine what would happen if Andrew Tate met other survivors. Would he lie about his past? What would happen if they knew who he was already? And to be honest, it doesn't really matter. It still applies to one of the 3 deaths, but it's really fun to think of all of these different scenarios and how would Andrew Tate adapt to this world. Now we're in scenario 2. I created scenario 2 not to be realistic, but to rather answer the question, what would need to happen in order for Andrew Tate to survive and thrive in the zombie apocalypse? And let me know if you can tell where this is going. The zombie apocalypse breaks out. Andrew and Tristan lock down the house. Finally, a chance to prove they are the protector. And he uses the outbreak to justify his actions from before. They pull out their weapons, the knives, the swords, the guns. They do their jobs, as they're supposed to. For the most part, it's going well. And the mansion is overall safe. The brothers treat their woman just as bad as they did before. Now that there's no government, no police, no laws, Andrew and Tristan do whatever they want to these women. Now one day, 2 survivors come to the brothers' front door. At first, the brothers are hostile, but eventually, they let them in. Now the 2 survivors are a husband and a wife. Now one day, the husband sees Andrew abusing the wife. The husband understandably gets mad and upset and threatens Andrew. Andrew tells him to get lost as a warning. And this is the first ending. Andrew and the man fight each other. Somehow, someway, the husband won. In a fit of rage, Tristan goes after the husband, but the husband strikes back and wins again. Now that the brothers are dead, the women are free. The end. But that's not it. Ending 2. The fight between Andrew and the husband goes wrong. Andrew wins the fight against the husband. The husband ends up dead. Andrew and Tristan are both left feeling powerful, and they come up with a plan. They repeat their actions. Any survivors that came to their doorstep will go through the same thing that the husband and wife endured. Over time, Andrew and Tristan will build an army of brainwashed men forced to do the brothers' bidding, and an army of women forced to obey the man's every will, basically used as currency or slaves, as a status symbol, given to the strongest, bravest men. And the men who are the weakest are ashamed and fall into a Great Depression. They are sent to Hustlers University, where they are pushed further down the rabbit hole and come out even more robotic, a shell of what they once were. They all obey the brothers' rule. Why? Because they are the top G. Without their protection, no one would be alive. And that is how he justifies his evil mindset. Eventually, they'll become one of the most powerful groups in Romania. He invades smaller groups, and in exchange for protection, he demands obedience. And that is the true ending of Andrew Tate's story. Does that remind you of anything? Let's go over it again. He rules with a weapon that makes him feel powerful, forces women to do the things that they don't want to do, has an army of subservient men, rules over smaller groups, and calls it protection. If Andrew Tate came to mind, then you would be correct. But I was also describing Negan from the Walking Dead franchise. The thing about that last ending, though, was that it requires something from Andrew. Something we haven't seen yet from him. In order for that ending to actually be possible, 3 things would need to happen. 1. He needs to completely become his persona. Because like I said, there is video evidence, there are clips, voice recordings of him just not really acting like he does on camera. You may say that's the deal with every creator, which is true. Not every creator acts like they do on camera. But the problem is, Andrew Tate is so confident. He says his word is like the gospel. In all honesty, he's spineless. He spouts so much nonsense that he can't even keep track of the things he says. Everything about him is a cover-up for his insecurities. 2. He needs to be a legit murderer. And to be clear, I'm not encouraging murder. That's not what I'm doing here. The thing is, he was asked if he killed anyone before. And well, his answer is pretty vague.
Andrew, have you ever killed someone?
What's this Twitch, bro? I can't be saying certain things on Twitch.
So that's a yes.
Not a yes, it's not a no.
3. The zombie apocalypse needs to happen. Obviously, it's not going to happen. So, we're all good for now, I guess. And that is how Andrew Tate would survive the zombie apocalypse. Like and subscribe. Top G. I'm the top G. Bye.